What if I told you there's a type of person walking among us who makes others deeply uncomfortable without saying a single word? They don't raise their voice, they don't make threats, they don't even argue. Yet something about their presence makes powerful people squirm, manipulative people retreat, and toxic individuals suddenly find themselves face to face with their own ugliness. I'm talking about people with unshakable mental strength. And if you stick with me, I'm going to show you exactly how to become one of them. But first, let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. When was the last time someone tried to intimidate you? Maybe your boss raised their voice in a meeting. Maybe someone cut in front of you in line and dared you to say something. Maybe a family member tried to guilt trip you into doing what they wanted. What did you do? Did you fight back? Did you cave in and do what they wanted? Or did you do something most people never even consider possible? Here's what most people don't realize. There's a third option. An option that transforms you from someone who gets pushed around or pushes back into someone who simply cannot be moved. And when people encounter this kind of unshakable presence, it triggers something psychologists call cognitive dissonance. They're forced to confront their own mental fragility, and that confrontation terrifies them. I've spent decades studying what separates those who remain centered in chaos from those who get swept away by every emotional storm. What I've discovered will challenge everything you think you know about strength, because the mind that truly scares people isn't scary because it's aggressive or cold or dominating. It's scary because it's free. Free from the desperate need for approval, free from the compulsion to react to every provocation, free from the unconscious patterns that keep most people trapped in cycles of anxiety, anger, and confusion. Let me show you exactly what this looks like through 3 real transformations that will change how you see mental strength forever. Marcus was a tech startup founder who looked like he had it all together. Sharp suits, confident handshakes, the kind of presence that commands respect in boardrooms. But behind closed doors, he was falling apart. Before every investor meeting, his hands would shake so violently he couldn't hold his coffee cup. His voice would crack when he tried to speak. He'd spend hours rehearsing his pitch, only to freeze up completely when the moment came. Then something changed. Instead of trying to fight his panic attacks, Marcus started studying them like a scientist. He realized his terror wasn't about the meetings themselves. It was about his desperate need to control outcomes he had no control over. His panic was his mind's way of trying to manage the unmanageable. Within 6 months, something remarkable happened. While other founders were having meltdowns during market crashes, Marcus remained eerily calm. His investors started calling it his unfair advantage. But here's the part that will blow your mind. Within a year, 3 of his most aggressive board members had either resigned or been replaced, not because Marcus pushed them out, but because their toxic behavior became impossible to ignore when contrasted with his unshakable presence. His calmness had become a mirror that reflected their chaos back to them, and they couldn't stand what they saw. Elena was a surgeon who could make life and death decisions with steady hands, but would have complete emotional breakdowns in her car after losing a patient. She thought this made her compassionate. She thought absorbing her patient's pain was what made her a good doctor. She was wrong. The breakthrough came when she realized that true empathy doesn't require emotional fusion, it requires emotional clarity. Once she learned to feel compassion without drowning in it, something extraordinary happened. Her surgical skills actually improved because she could think more clearly under pressure. Other doctors started seeking her advice not because of her technical expertise, but because of her emotional mastery. Then there's Rachel, a single mother who appeared to have everything under control. Work, kids, household, social obligations, She juggled it all with a smile. But at night, she'd lie awake for hours with her mind racing, taking sleep aids just to quiet the chaos in her head. She was trying to be the emotional regulator for everyone around her, absorbing their stress, their problems, their fears. And she finally learned to remain centered while allowing others to experience their own emotions. Her teenage son's anger issues completely disappeared. Why? Because he finally had a model of what real emotional strength looked like. Rachel's transformation didn't just change her life. It broke generational patterns of dysfunction. These three people discovered something crucial that most people never understand. What they thought was mental strength was actually mental control. And there's a world of difference between the two. Mental control is exhausting. You're constantly trying to manage external circumstances to feel okay inside. You defend, you explain, you justify, you manipulate situations to get the reactions you need. You're a prisoner of your environment, dependent on others behaving the way you want them to behave. Mental strength is the opposite. It maintains internal stability, regardless of what's happening around you. You become like a mountain. Storms hit you, but you don't move. You're no longer at the mercy of other people's moods, opinions, or behaviors. And this is exactly why mentally strong people make others so uncomfortable. They can't be manipulated. They can't be guilted. They can't be pressured or controlled. They operate from a completely different paradigm, and it exposes how much everyone else is still trapped in theirs. Now let me share the three principles that create this unshakable mental strength. The first is what I call response choice, creating space between what happens to you and how you respond. Most people react automatically. Someone criticizes them, they become defensive. Someone challenges them, they either fight or run. But mental strength creates a pause where you can respond from wisdom rather than conditioning. Viktor Frankl discovered this in the concentration camps. Between stimulus and response, he said, there's a space. In that space lies our freedom to choose. And in that choice lies our growth and our power. This isn't just philosophy, it's neuroscience. Your prefrontal cortex can override your amygdala's automatic reactions, but only if you practice creating that space. And when you master this, something incredible happens. People can't push your buttons because you've essentially removed the buttons. They'll try to provoke you, and when nothing happens, they're forced to confront their own reactive patterns. Try this right now. Think of someone who typically triggers you. Feel how your body tenses just thinking about them. Notice that automatic reaction brewing inside you. Now imagine encountering them while maintaining complete inner calm. Feel the difference? That's the power of response choice. You're literally rewiring your neural pathways when you practice this. The second principle is thought mastery. This doesn't mean controlling your thoughts. It means not being controlled by them. Most people believe every thought their mind produces. If their mind says, "You're not good enough," they believe it. If it says, "This will go wrong," they stress about it. But here's what mentally strong people understand. Thoughts are just mental events, not facts about reality. Your mind produces thousands of thoughts every day. If you believed all of them, you'd be in constant chaos. The breakthrough comes when you realize you are not your thoughts. You're the awareness observing them. Watch. What happens when you start catching your mind creating drama through what-if scenarios? What if this goes wrong? What if they don't like me? What if I fail? These thoughts create real stress about imaginary problems. When you catch these patterns, simply note, there's my mind creating future scenarios again. Don't judge it, just observe it. This is why mentally strong people seem so calm in situations that would send others into panic. They're not buying into every story their mind tells them. They've learned to separate facts from mental fiction. The third principle is value-based living, making decisions based on your deepest values rather than immediate emotions or others' expectations. When your decisions align with your core values, criticism bounces off you because you know exactly why you're doing. Most people have never clearly defined their values. They're living by inherited beliefs, social conditioning, or momentary impulses. But when you identify what truly matters to you, integrity, growth, connection, contribution, every decision becomes crystal clear. Here's how to discover your authentic values. Look at the times in your life when you felt most alive, most yourself. What principles were you honoring in those moments? Conversely, when have you felt most frustrated or betrayed? What values were being violated? This reflection reveals your true north. When you live from your values instead of your fears, you stop seeking approval and start commanding respect. You stop reacting to others and start responding from your center. But here's where the journey gets challenging, and this is crucial to understand. As you develop mental strength, you'll face resistance from unexpected sources. People who benefited from your mental weakness, those who manipulated you through guilt, controlled you through fear, or dominated you through aggression, will escalate their tactics. This isn't personal, it's systemic. Every system resists change, including relational systems. When you change your role in the dance, others must either adapt or leave. I watched this happen with David, a corporate executive. As he stopped reacting to his boss's emotional outbursts, something fascinating occurred. Initially, his boss's behavior got worse, more aggressive, more demanding, but David remained centered. Within 3 months, the entire dynamic shifted. His boss, unable to provoke the usual reactions, had to confront his own behavior. He actually apologized to David and began working on his own emotional regulation. But not everyone responds this way. Sarah, a teacher developing mental strength, found that several friends gradually distanced themselves. These were people who had bonded with her over complaining, drama, and mutual victimhood. When she no longer participated in these dynamics, the friendships revealed their shallow foundations. This pruning process is painful but necessary. As you become mentally stronger, your authentic relationships deepen while superficial ones fade. You attract people operating from similar levels of consciousness. Your life becomes populated with individuals who inspire growth rather than enable stagnation. The neuroscience behind this transformation is remarkable. When you consistently choose conscious responses over automatic reactions, you're literally rewiring your brain. The neural pathways associated with reactive patterns weaken through disuse. New pathways supporting thoughtful responses strengthen through repetition. Brain imaging studies show that people who practice these mental strength exercises develop thicker prefrontal cortexes, the brain region responsible for executive function and emotional regulation. Simultaneously, their amygdalas become less reactive to stressors. This isn't just psychological change, it's biological transformation. You're becoming a different person at the cellular level. Let me share a technique that accelerates this transformation. The 24-hour rule. Before reacting to any situation that triggers strong emotions, commit to waiting a full day. This simple practice creates the space needed for wisdom to emerge instead of automatic conditioning. During those 24 hours, ask yourself 3 questions. Is my emotional reaction proportional to the actual threat? What response would my highest self choose? How can I use this situation to strengthen my mental resilience? A CEO I worked with applied this rule when he received a vicious email from his biggest client threatening to cancel their contract. His initial impulse was to fire back defensively. Instead, he waited. During that time, he realized the client was under enormous pressure and displacing their stress onto him. His response after 24 hours was masterful. He acknowledged their concerns without accepting blame, offered solutions without desperation, and maintained professional boundaries without being cold. The client not only renewed the contract but apologized for their harsh communication. This leads to a crucial understanding. Mental strength isn't about suppressing emotions or becoming robotic. It's about emotional mastery. The difference is profound. Emotional suppression says, I won't feel this. Emotional mastery says, I feel this fully, but I'm not controlled by it. Mentally strong people actually feel emotions more deeply because they're not afraid of them. They can experience grief without drowning in it, anger without being consumed by it, joy without clinging to it. They surf the waves of emotion rather than being crashed by them. Here's a practice that develops emotional mastery. When you feel a strong emotion, instead of acting on it or suppressing it, become curious about it. Where do you feel it in your body? What thoughts accompany it? What does it want you to know? This curiosity transforms you from victim of your emotions to student of them. As you develop these capabilities, something remarkable happens. You become what I call a consciousness anchor in your environment. Just as a boat anchor keeps a vessel steady in rough waters, your mental strength provides stability for those around you. In meetings where others panic, your calm becomes contagious. In families where drama is the norm, your centeredness offers a new possibility. You don't have to preach about mental strength, you embody it. And embodiment is the most powerful teaching. This ripple effect extends far beyond your immediate circle. Each person who develops mental strength makes it easier for others to do the same. You become part of a growing movement of conscious individuals, choosing response over reaction, wisdom over impulse, growth over comfort. But let me address the shadow side of this journey. As you develop mental strength, you might notice a tendency toward spiritual bypassing, using your newfound calm to avoid dealing with real issues. True mental strength doesn't mean accepting unacceptable situations. It means responding to them from a place of power rather than reactivity. If you're in an abusive relationship, mental strength isn't about tolerating abuse calmly. It's about having the clarity to recognize abuse and the courage to take appropriate action. If you're in a dead-end job, mental strength isn't about being peacefully resigned. It's about strategically planning your transition. Mental strength gives you the clarity to see what needs to change and the courage to change it. It's not passive, it's powerfully active, but from a centered place rather than a reactive one. The ultimate expression of mental strength is what I call integrated power, the ability to be simultaneously strong and soft, firm and flexible, boundaried and open. Some situations call for the firmness of a mountain, others require the flexibility of water. Mental strength gives you access to the full spectrum of responses, choosing consciously rather than reacting habitually. The person you become when you fully develop mental strength won't just navigate life more skillfully. You'll become a beacon of possibility for others, living proof that human beings are capable of extraordinary mental mastery. In a world desperate for examples of what's possible when someone commits to their own evolution, your strength becomes not just a personal achievement, but a gift to humanity. But here's what I need you to understand. This isn't about becoming perfect or never feeling challenged. The journey to mental strength is about becoming authentically powerful. It's not about never feeling fear, doubt, or uncertainty. It's about feeling them fully without being paralyzed by them. The world doesn't need more people pretending to be strong while crumbling inside. It needs people courageous enough to do the inner work that creates genuine resilience. It needs you to stop making excuses and start making the choices that will transform not just your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. Every moment offers you a choice. React from conditioning or respond from consciousness. Choose the familiar or choose growth. Strengthen your mind or let it atrophy. These choices, made consistently over time, determine whether you'll remain at the mercy of your mental patterns or master them completely. The question isn't whether you're capable of developing such strength. You are. Every human being has this potential locked inside them. The question is whether you're ready to begin. Because once you start this journey, once you taste the freedom of a truly strong mind, there's no going back. And that, perhaps, is what scares people most of all. Not your strength, but the mirror it holds up to their own unlimited potential. When they see what you've become, they're forced to confront what they could become. They realize their limitations aren't real, they're chosen. And that realization is either inspiring or terrifying, depending on whether they're ready to change. So I'll leave you with this. The next time someone tries to manipulate you with guilt, control you with fear, or intimidate you with aggression, remember that you have a choice. You can react the way you always have, or you can create that space. Feel the pause between what happens and how you respond. Choose your reaction consciously. That single choice, practiced consistently, will transform you into the kind of person who makes others uncomfortable simply by existing. Not because you're threatening, but because you're free. And freedom, real freedom, is the most powerful force in the human experience. The journey to mental mastery starts with a single decision. Make it now.